I never thought my quiet little life could turn into something out of a nightmare. I lived alone in a one-story house, nothing fancy, just a single bedroom, a small kitchen, and a bathroom. It wasn't much, but it was mine. After long days at work, I looked forward to the peace of that space, the smell of coffee lingering from the morning, the hum of the old fridge, the comfort of knowing I had a place where the world couldn't touch me. Or so I thought. That illusion shattered one evening as I pulled into my driveway. I was exhausted, thinking about nothing more than a quick shower and maybe some leftovers before collapsing into bed. But as I stepped out of my car, I saw him, this wiry figure sprinting toward me, face twisted with desperation and rage. "Hey you," he barked. I froze, halfway between locking my car and grabbing my bag. Hello. Give me money right now, you son of a b asterisk 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 asterisk. At first I thought maybe he was joking, some messed up prank. But then his hand shot into his pocket and out came a knife, the blade catching the faint glow of the streetlight. My heart pounded so hard I swear it echoed in my ears. My throat went dry. "Sorry man, Don't play with me," he roared. "Give me the money right now." Panic surged through me. My hands trembled as I stammered, I don't have any. I swear." His eyes narrowed, rage pouring off him like heat. I did the only thing I could think of. I jumped back in my car, slammed the door, and tore out of there before he could lunge. In my rearview mirror, I saw his mouth open, spitting venom into the night. "You're gonna regret this asterisk asterisk hole." Those words lodged in my brain like shards of glass. For the next few days, I couldn't shake the feeling. The way his eyes had locked on me, the way his voice cracked with anger. It was like he hadn't just tried to rob me, he'd marked me. Every night, I swore I saw shadows moving just beyond the windows. When I walked outside to toss the trash, I felt the prickling sensation of being watched. Sometimes I thought I heard footsteps crunching softly on gravel, but when I turned, nothing. Maybe it was paranoia. Maybe it was real. All I knew was that sleep became harder and harder to come by. And then came the night that ripped everything away. I remember waking up coughing, my throat raw and burning. At first, I thought I was dreaming, but when I opened my eyes, I couldn't see the ceiling. Just smoke. Thick, choking clouds of it. The air was heavy with the acrid stench of burning wood and melting plastic. My heart slammed against my ribs. My home, my sanctuary, was on fire. I army crawled along the floor, my skin prickling from the heat, ears ringing with the crackle of flames devouring everything I owned. My eyes stung, watering so badly I could barely see as I clawed my way toward the door. The doorknob was hot, searing my palm when I grabbed it, but I yanked it open and tumbled out onto the cold dirt of my yard, gasping for air. By the time firefighters arrived, it was already too late. They battled, but the flames had swallowed everything. My house collapsed inward, sparks shooting into the night like cruel fireworks. One of the firemen pulled me aside, his face grim. "Sorry, sir. It was too late by the time we got here." Those words crushed me. My knees buckled, and I stared at the inferno that used to be my life. Everything, every memory, every belonging, was gone. And deep inside, beyond the grief, a seed of rage began to grow. When I told the police what had happened, I begged them to look into it. I told them about the man, about the threat he spat at me. They listened with polite nods but shook their heads. "We can't do anything without proof," they said. "No evidence, no case." Proof. Evidence. While I stood in the ashes of my life, they talked about paperwork. That's when something inside me snapped. If the system wouldn't give me justice, I'd take it myself. I bought a handgun the very next day. And as I sat alone in a cheap hotel room, staring at the weapon lying on the nightstand, I made a silent promise. I would find him. And when I did, he would pay. The nights after the fire were the hardest. Hotel walls are thin, and the silence that settles in strange places feels different. It isn't comforting. It's suffocating. I would lie awake staring at the ceiling, the faint hum of the air conditioner reminding me that this wasn't my home. I had no home. Just a few bags of clothes I'd saved from the car, and the gnawing ache inside me that screamed for justice. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flames licking the walls of my house, smoke filling my lungs. And then, just as vivid, I saw his face, the mugger, the knife, the promise he'd spat at me. "You're gonna regret this, asterisk asterisk hole." At first, I tried to convince myself maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was faulty wiring. Maybe an accident. But deep down, I knew. I knew it had been him. I could feel it in the way the memory of his eyes burned hotter than the fire itself. So I started to plan. I bought a notebook from a corner store. On the first page, in shaky handwriting, I wrote one word: revenge. I wrote down everything I remembered about him. Tall but lanky. Scruffy beard. A ripped gray hoodie. Sneakers with the soles worn out. I remembered the way his voice cracked when he shouted, the vein bulging in his neck. I wrote it all down as if sketching out a profile for a hunt. Because that's what this was now. A hunt. For days, I retraced the steps of where I first saw him. The street corner by the gas station. The alleyways nearby. The liquor store where drunks hovered around late at night. I drove those roads for hours, sometimes until dawn, windows down, one hand resting on the cold steel of the handgun tucked in my waistband. The first few nights, nothing. Just shadows, stray cats, and the empty hum of a city that didn't care. But on the fifth night, as the neon buzz of the liquor store sign flickered, I saw him. Same hoodie. Same scraggly beard. Same cocky slouch as he harassed a woman for change outside the store. My grip on the steering wheel tightened so hard my knuckles went white. My breath came short, shallow. It was him. No doubt. I parked a block away, heart hammering, watching from the shadows. He didn't notice me. He never would. For the next few days I followed him. From a distance, careful, patient. I learned his patterns, where he hung out, when he disappeared into alleys, how he scavenged like a rat at night and slept like one in the daytime. The longer I watched, the more the anger inside me grew. This man wasn't just a criminal. He was a parasite. He preyed on anyone weaker than him, feeding off fear and desperation. I saw him shove a homeless guy to the ground for a half-empty bottle. I saw him try to snatch a purse and laugh when the woman screamed. And every time I saw it, I clenched my fists until my nails dug into my palms. I reminded myself, he burned your house. He took everything. He promised you'd regret it. Make him regret it instead. The night I decided to act, the air felt heavier. Storm clouds gathered overhead, wind carrying the faint smell of rain. It was the kind of night when people stayed indoors, locked up, and ignored the world. Perfect. I parked near the same alley where I first encountered him. I knew he'd come by eventually. He always did. It was his territory, his little kingdom of trash cans and broken bottles. I waited. Hours ticked by. My eyes stung from staring into the dark, ears straining at every sound. My hand never left the gun. And then footsteps. The scrape of shoes against gravel. There he was, swaggering like he owned the night, shoulders hunched, muttering to himself. My pulse exploded in my chest. The blood in my veins turned electric. This was it. I stepped out of the shadows. He froze, squinting. The F*** you doing here? Before he could react, I was on him. One hard swing of the pistol grip to the side of his head sent him crumpling. He groaned, but I was already on top of him, dragging his limp body deeper into the alley. The ropes I'd stashed earlier were waiting. I bound his wrists, his ankles, tied him to a chair I'd hauled there days before. By the time he came to, he was trapped. His eyes fluttered open, groggy at first, then wide with realization. He jerked against the ropes, panic flashing across his face. What the hell is this? Let me out. I leaned in close, the barrel of my gun pressing against his forehead. Remember me? His breath caught. Recognition dawned. His lips trembled. And for the first time since the night of the fire, I felt in control. His eyes darted back and forth, like a cornered animal searching for an escape that wasn't there. He yanked against the ropes, the chair scraping against the grimy pavement. Hey man, what is this? What the hell do you want from me? His voice cracked, high and frantic. I leaned closer, letting the cold steel of the handgun rest against his temple. The fear in his eyes reflected the same fear I had felt that night when his knife flashed under the streetlight. But now, the tables had turned. What do I want? My voice was low, steady, even though my pulse thudded in my ears. I want the truth. Who burned my house down? His forehead creased, his mouth opening in fake confusion. House? Man, I don't know what you're talking about. Before he could finish, I slammed the gun down on the arm of the chair, inches from his hand. The crack of metal against wood echoed through the alley. He flinched so hard he nearly tipped over. Don't lie to me, I growled. You think I forgot what you said? You promised I'd regret not giving you money. And a few days later, my house goes up in flames. You think that's coincidence? His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. I didn't, it wasn't me. The rage boiling inside me spilled over. I yanked a switchblade from my pocket, flicked it open, and pressed the blade against his cheek. His breath came in shallow, panicked gasps. You see this? I whispered. This is what you held to me. This is what you used to make me feel powerless. Now it's your turn. Last chance. Who burned my house? He shook his head violently. I swear it wasn't me. I pressed harder, just enough to break skin. A thin red line appeared, blood trickling down his face. He whimpered, "Stop lying." My voice roared through the alley, bouncing off the brick walls. "I lost everything. Everything. And you stand here laughing, pretending it wasn't you?" He squirmed, eyes darting around as though someone might swoop in to save him. But no one would. Not here. Not tonight. Finally, the facade cracked. Tears welled in his eyes, his body trembling under the ropes. Okay, fine. It was me, all right?" His voice broke into sobs. I didn't mean for it to get so bad. I just wanted to scare you. Teach you a lesson. I didn't think the fire would spread like that." My chest heaved as his words sank in. The confession. The truth I already knew but needed to hear. And instead of relief, all I felt was fury. "You didn't mean for it to get so bad?" I spat the words back at him. "You destroyed my life. You left me with nothing but ashes. Do you have any idea what it's like to wake up choking on smoke, wondering if you'll make it out alive?" He sobbed harder, head hanging low, blood dripping from his cheek. "Please, I'm sorry. Just let me go. I'll leave you alone. You'll never see me again. Sorry." That one word hit me like poison. Sorry doesn't bring back my house. Sorry doesn't erase the nightmares. Sorry doesn't rebuild a life. I crouched in front of him, staring into his terrified eyes. "No," I whispered. "You took everything from me. And now, I'm going to take everything from you." He thrashed against the ropes, desperation exploding into panic. "No, please, don't do this. I said I was sorry. I'll change. Oh." His pleas dissolved into screams as I pressed the gun barrel against his chest. My finger hovered over the trigger, my whole body trembling with the storm of emotions crashing inside me. Power, fear, rage, justice. The same man who once held me at knife point was now begging for his life. And for the first time since the fire, I felt like I could breathe again. His chest heaved against the ropes, sweat dripping down his face, mixing with the streak of blood from the cut on his cheek. His eyes were wide, wild, like a trapped animal that finally realizes there's no escape. "Please," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I don't want to die." For a moment, I just stared at him. My finger rested on the trigger, steady now, my pulse no longer racing but calm. Too calm. That was the scariest part. I wasn't shaking with nerves anymore. I wasn't hesitating. I was ready. "You didn't care if I died," I said quietly. "When you lit that fire, you didn't care if I was inside. You didn't care if I suffocated in my sleep or burned alive. You wanted me gone. And now," I pressed the barrel harder against his chest, "now you're going to feel what it's like when the world decides you don't get another chance." He shook his head frantically. No, please." The gun went off. The sound was deafening in the narrow alley, echoing like thunder. His body jolted, the ropes tightening around him as he gasped in shock. His eyes went wide, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. I didn't stop. Another shot. His body went limp, head lolling to the side, breath rattling out of him in shallow spurts. The alley fell into a chilling silence, broken only by the drip of rain starting to fall from the dark sky. But I wasn't finished. I pulled a firecracker from my pocket, the same kind kids laughed about on the 4th of July. But in my hands it wasn't a toy. It was a message. I lit the fuse, sparks hissing in the dark, and shoved it into his slack, lifeless mouth. The bang that followed was sharp, brutal, final. For a split second, I just stood there, staring at the motionless body slumped in the chair. My chest rose and fell, not with panic, but with something I hadn't felt in weeks. Release. The rage that had consumed me since the fire finally broke, pouring out with every gunshot, every scream, every desperate plea. He was gone. The man who ruined my life would never ruin anyone else's again. I holstered the gun, stepping back, the faint drizzle soaking my hair, cooling the heat that had burned inside me for so long. And for the first time since that night, I felt free. People talk about justice like it's some clean, noble thing, handed down in a courtroom by men in suits. But justice isn't always clean. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes it's standing in a dark alley with smoke still curling from the barrel of a gun, knowing you did what the system couldn't. Do I regret it? No, not for a second. Because when he lit that fire, he didn't just destroy my house. He destroyed his own fate. Some people only understand one language. And tonight I spoke it fluently. So if you ever wonder what happens when you push someone past their breaking point, remember this. Justice doesn't always wait for permission. Sometimes it takes aim. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments. what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? And of course, subscribe for more stories like this, because sometimes the sweetest victories are the ones we take for ourselves.